as you heard from his intro, my guest today on the Parramatta podcast played at the club that I love, the Parramatta Eels, but also won a premiership at the Brisbane Broncos and also played over in the English Super League with the Catalan Dragons, but also represented Queensland in State of Origin. Now, his nickname is, I'm assuming, is still Jerry, but I know him as Casey. So, welcome to the Parramatta podcast, Mr. Casey McGuire.
Thank you very much, Troy. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's just start off with that little fun one. Is your nickname still Jerry?
So yes, that definitely started when I went down to Parramatta. So Jim Dimmick gave me that nickname,
Oh,
Jerry, back in the day, back in uh, the late '90s, mate. So yeah, it's probably not something everyone calls me nowadays, but definitely the old boys back at Para, still Jerry, mate.
yeah, no, I have heard previous guests say that Jimmy Dimmick usually nicknames everybody these
Yes.
days. um, well, let's go back to the start. You're born in Nambour in Queensland. Was rugby league always something that you wanted to do as a kid growing up?
Mate, always loved league. Yeah, I think like many little brothers, I guess I follow what my older brother was doing. So I played soccer up until I was 12 years old, and then brother went to rugby league, and I followed him, and yeah, really enjoyed it, mate. Always followed the Broncos since I was sort of 8 years old, I guess,
Okay, yeah.
when they first came to the comp, growing up on the Sunshine Coast, and but like you said, mate, I was lucky enough to get down to the Eels, and a couple of times back at the Eels, and great club, mate. Very fond memories from Parramatta.
Who were your favourite players at the Broncos back in those days, those early days?
Mate, I used to collect the cards, so I loved
Yeah.
all the players, mate. Yeah, and luckily enough, I still do a little bit of work with the Broncos now, and Michael Hancock, one of the pioneer players there in '88, so I get to work alongside Mick, so that's a bit of a thrill.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, but obviously Wally Lewis, Gene Miles, all the big names back in the day. Yeah,
Yeah, some champion names there. And no doubt a proud moment for yourself before making first grade was making that Australian schoolboy side in '97. You had some handy players in that side.
yeah, definitely, mate. So that sort of came as a surprise. I never really thought of pursuing it professionally, I guess, when I left school, but made the Queensland team, and I guess I had one of my school teachers, Murray Finch, and Tony Mooney, actually just showed a lot of belief in me, and yeah, end up making the Australian schoolboys team, and getting that contract with Parramatta Eels, and sort of never looked back. Yeah.
There was it Brian Smith who recognised you from that schoolboys tour
Uh,
and
Noel
got you to
Cleal,
Parramatta? Oh,
Noel Cleal
Crusher,
was
yeah.
the Crusher. Got me down to Sydney, and lived with Crusher for the first year, and we had a household of footballers there: Jamie Lyon, Luke Bird, Michael Hodgson, Kirk Mendelson. I think there's about seven of us there. Daniel Roddy, um, living with Crusher and his family there. So very fortunate that sort of had that guidance early on from Crusher, and great man, great family, and yeah, very lucky to spend that first year sort of transitioning into the real world.
What was he like as a house host?
Oh mate, he was awesome. Yeah, love
Yeah.
Crusher, mate. He yeah, took me pig chasing like everyone, but that was a
Oh,
bit too
no.
brutal for me. But yeah, no, Crusher's a great man, mate, and a lot of respect for him. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely done a lot in the game of rugby league. And Coach Brian Smith, what was it like playing under Brian Smith in the short time that you were there at the
Mate,
first time?
yeah, so Brian Smith, fantastic coach. I think I just wish I had him when I was a bit older in my career. I guess he was just um, very probably the smartest coach I've ever come across. Yeah, tactically, had every scenario sort of covered. I think everyone talks about his football brain, but I was a little bit young, and I sort of fell out of favour with him. I suppose laid back, coming from the Sunshine Coast. Yeah, I didn't really warm to him in those earlier years, I guess, and I just
Yeah,
yeah. Once I got to the Broncos a few years later, and under Wayne, and sort of got back together, and trained a little bit harder, I guess. And but yeah, no, Brian was a great coach, and unfortunately didn't get that premiership with Parramatta. But yeah, definitely taught me a lot.
well, your debut game was against Penrith, at Penrith, my favourite game of the year, being a Parramatta
Yep.
supporter living in Penrith. Um, round 22, 1998. What stood out for you in your debut game, first grade?
Oh, I just remember my brother flew down from Queensland, so he came down to the game, and I think played against Greg Alexander, playing alongside Jason Smith and Jim Dimmick, obviously Jared McCracken. It was just a huge thrill for me. We ended up winning that game, and then yeah, just amazing to make that debut at 18 years old. And but yeah, like I said, I only had a couple of games that year, and then sort of went back to reserve grade for the following few years. And yeah, but making that debut was awesome.
And then, yeah, you said there that you went back to the Broncos. Uh, was it a case of heading back to Queensland for yourself and Wayne Bennett getting you back to the Broncos?
Well, I approached Wayne, so I went back. Yeah, 3 years in Sydney. Only played the two first grade games, and anyway, I went back to Brisbane and gave Wayne a call and said, is there any opportunities? And there wasn't any money. Obviously, they had a star-studded team back then, and but he gave me an opportunity and found that second job and worked my way through. And I think I needed to be back in Queensland, close to family, and it was probably the right move for me at the time. And enjoyed 6 seasons there under Wayne.
Yeah, it definitely was a pretty fair squad, as you mentioned. Lockyer, Takiri, Saylor, Webke, Sivanasiva, and current Brisbane coach Kevin Walters. How was it to play with those sort of players?
Oh mate, yeah, it was yeah, unbelievable, mate. Obviously, Alan Langer as well. He was a hero as well. So just to get play alongside those guys, mate. Kevy, as you said, Kevy was sort of in his last couple of years there with the club. He was coaching us at Toowoomba Clydesdales at the same time, actually, in those early years. But no, it was definitely a thrill, mate. Gordon Tallis. It was a fair squad, like you said, mate.
With those quality of players in the team, was it difficult for yourself to stay in that team and play consistent football each year at the Broncos? Did you have
Oh, mate.
to work harder to stay in the team?
It was having those sort of players around you. That was it sort of made it probably easier, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
Mate, yeah, it was. I sort of found out early that Wayne wanted consistency, and I never just try to make sure that I gave him sort of set a benchmark for myself every week and found that consistency. And no, I really enjoyed those years, mate. Yeah, some fantastic players. Brad Thorne, probably one of my favourite players of all time as well. Petro Sivanasiva, like you said. No, just very lucky to be part of that era, and yeah, very fond memories.
We see this year the Dolphins come into the competition with Wayne as head coach.
Yep.
He had a year off last year. What is Wayne Bennett like as a coach? He's still going.
Yeah, mate. He's yeah, great man manager. I think you sort of hear that all the time. Like he's if anyone can do it with the Dolphins, it'll be Wayne. So I know everyone's sort of writing them off this year, but yeah, we'll see how they go. I think yeah, it's an amazing career that Wayne's had, and yeah, wish him all the best. Yeah, I'm still a Broncos man here in Queensland.
Yep.
So, but I do hope the Dolphins go well because it's important for Queensland, important for the game that they do well. Yeah.
Now, the late great Paul Green played in his first game for the Broncos in a game that you kicked the field goal in over in New Zealand. Um, what was it like having Paul Green around in his last year of his playing career?
Oh mate, he was awesome, Greeny. Yeah, yeah, just one of those great team men, I guess. Great guy to have around. Always happy, always joking. Um, yeah, so no, it was great to have him around, and obviously did really well in his coaching career after his playing career. But yeah, very sad, obviously, with Greeny, and obviously there's a lot more. I suppose education out there with men's mental health in particular, but yeah, for me, just someone as happy and go lucky as Greeny for that to happen, that yeah, puts
And
everything in perspective. Yeah.
definitely, and rest in peace, Paul. 2005 must have been a massive year for yourself because you represent Queensland on two occasions off the bench. Was that a childhood dream come true to represent the Maroons?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Any kid that's grown up in Queensland always, that's their dream to play Origin, and I think it was just the right place, right person, right time Tony Carroll was injured, and got that opportunity to play 2 games, and yeah, fantastic experience. Obviously, when Billy Slater and Cameron Smith, those guys were just starting their golden run, I guess.
Yeah.
And to play alongside those guys and sort of room with Cameron Smith and learn from him, and it was awesome, mate.
For you yourself being a Queenslander, does a premiership win or representing Queensland rank higher for yourself, or is it too hard to compare?
It's a little bit hard to compare, mate. I think, I've got great memories, and they're not just from the higher level stuff, like playing football with my mates at high school. Like they still rank as my best times playing footy. So for me, it's not really about the achievements or the level; it's the memories and how you sort of how sport makes you feel, I guess. And that's my role now, with do a bit of game development with the Broncos and talk to the kids about more lifelong love of sport, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, let's get to the 2006 season, and the Broncos play the Storm in the grand final, and you get the win in front of 76,500 people. Could you believe that you were playing in a first grade grand final in front of that many people?
Yeah, well, we sort of weren't travelling real good that year, and it was only very, very late in the season that we managed to turn things around and get that momentum. And footy is all about momentum. You sort of once you win a few games, you sort of find a way to win, and vice versa. Like when you're losing a couple of close games, you just always seem to find a way to lose. But we got a bit of momentum heading into that grand final, and we had a few lucky calls, I guess, in that game, and things go our way. But I think it was just meant to be. We got the win, and for me, that was my last game of the Broncos. I went overseas after that, so for me, it was a wonderful way to finish, and very good memories of the grand final. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was certainly Darren Lockyer was on fire that year, wasn't he? Queensland won the State of Origin.
Definitely a match winner, Troy. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He didn't say a lot on the field, but he definitely led by example. Yeah, he was a wonderful player, and very lucky to play alongside him.
Yeah, definitely. And another player, Shane Mebke, there retired after that game as well. So would have been great to be on the field when that full-time hooter went. And how were the celebrations after the game? Who were the best on ground for celebrating
Who was
the
the best
grand
on
final
ground? No, I think we all celebrated pretty well. I remember having a couple of days in Brisbane, then just going back to the Sunshine Coast and enjoying a couple of days with my family, and so it was a great week, just a great guess, but whether it sort of doesn't define, I guess, my time at Broncos, whether we won or not. It was just best on ground. Back to your question, best on ground. I think Justin Hodges is always Carmichael Hunt. It was another one that went pretty well. Obviously a Dane Carl or Brent Tate. Yeah, there's a few of the boys.
Few. Had you already signed with Catalans before the end of the season?
I had Troy. Yeah, I travelled overseas a few years earlier, and it was more of a lifestyle decision for myself that went over with my wife, and had 4 years in France. We started our family over there, and I had made that call sort of during that 2006 season. Yeah.
Was there much of a language barrier over there for yourself playing?
There was, Troy. Yeah, it was a bit of an eye opener, mate. Living on the border of Spain, so we had Spanish, French, and Catalan, all 3 different languages to contend with right on the border there, and sort of growing up, you always think that everyone speaks English, but you sort of get over there and learn that's not the case. And it was definitely a good experience for us, and met some wonderful people in France. Really loved the place. Yeah.
Was that hard on the field to communicate with the other players at all?
Not so much on the field. At training and that, you sort of go as far as your language can take you. You're bonjour, ça va, and sort of, and that's sort of not sure what to say after that. But no, we were good. All our moves are in French, so we learned just the moves in French. And we obviously learned as much of the language as we could, and they were very welcoming, the guys. I know Thomas Bosk and Gregory Muniz, a couple of long-term Catalan players. As soon as I got there, we went for a game of golf, and they sort of welcomed us in, and no, it was very nice.
Ah, nice. Well, you come back to the NRL for a second stint with the Eels in 2011 and 12. Was there much of a difference at Parramatta um, from the first time that you were there? Obviously, there was new players, new
Yeah,
coaches.
new players. We had a pretty young squad. I came back. Daniel Anderson was going to be the coach, and then uh, he wasn't there when the season started. We went to Stephen Kearney, who did a great job with the players that he had. You know, I had a couple of great years in terms of living. We lived at Castle Hill, young family. We loved the place. Obviously, the football results weren't great, but yeah, it was the club was wonderful. A lot of the long term volunteers. Big D was still there doing the
Oh,
barbecues, and
yeah, big deal.
no, it's just fantastic family club. I guess they've always been that way. So yeah, had a good couple of years, but unfortunately, yeah, we didn't get the results on the field.
Yeah, well, that then 2012 was your last playing year, and turned out to be Hindy's and Luke Burt's last year as well. And that massive game at the Core Stadium, 45,500 people. That was a great night. What did
Yeah,
you make? What did you make of Hindy's goal kick?
yeah. Look, he was a wonderful player for the Eels, and I had the honour of sort of starting out with him. I guess in the late '90s, we sort of started the club at the same time. To finish that with Luke Bird and Nathan was pretty special for me. I remember I'd torn my pectoral muscle halfway through the season, 2012. So I was out and probably wasn't fit enough to play that last game. But Nathan
Yeah,
said to the coach, want him there on the field, and that was quite special for myself to get a bit of time out there with him in his last game, and yeah, not the best way to finish your career, but to finish with those guys was pretty special.
yeah, no, I just love the way that Timmy Manor rushed over and said, "No, no, we're taking the two. You're having a goal kick." It was
Yeah,
great. And then
yeah,
Hindy's even said that he had to say sorry to Luke Burt because Bertie was the goal kicker throughout the year and he was
yeah.
retiring as well. And,
Was it a toe poke? Was it a toe poke? I can't remember
yeah,
the kick itself, but yeah,
yeah, I think it was sort of, yeah, off sand as well.
yeah,
So
off the
yeah,
sand there. That's old
yeah,
school. Yeah, that's
yeah.
Nathan.
He
Yeah,
said he was taking off Jamie Soward's goal kicking style. So
yeah, right. Yeah.
that was pretty funny. Um, any funny stories about Hindy or Luke Burt that you can reveal?
Oh, mate, that's no, they're just great guys, mate. They're very loyal, obviously, staying with Parramatta their whole careers. Caught up with Luke a couple of years ago, and obviously, yeah, lived with him for that first year at Crushers. So I'd go up to Newcastle and his parents' place up there at Redhead. So I get there for the weekend. So yeah, no, really good guys, mate. Good family men. Yeah, not no, no really stories I can disclose on here, mate. But no, good, yeah, really good guys, mate, and
Yeah,
great guys for the Parramatta club to all those kids to look up to
yeah, no,
back in the
definitely.
day.
How was your transition from playing week to week into normal everyday life? How, because we see some players struggle. They've got that routine week to week.
Yep,
How
yeah,
did,
I definitely struggled, Troy. When I finished, I suppose when that's your identity for so long, um, yeah, like anyone that's been with a company or in a job for so long, they go to something else. You sort of struggle, but um, yeah, I've enjoyed my time after retirement, and I still do a little bit with the grassroots. I guess game development here in Central Queensland. So
yeah,
work with a company Verbrek, competency training, site skills training up here,
okay.
up in Gladstone. So yeah, they've been really supportive of the Broncos program up here, and so I get out to the schools and get to do a little bit with the kids and talk about the importance of being in team sports and being active. So yeah, sort of staying in football a little bit. Yeah.
Ah, nice, nice. And then obviously you're still keeping an eye on the footy these days. The footy season's just around the corner.
Yep.
How do you think the Broncos will go in 2023?
Well, I think they'll do okay. I think they hopefully make the finals again. yeah, always cheer for the Bronx, and I'll always cheer for the Eels. If yeah, they're my two teams that I played for. So no, it should be a really good season, mate. Not sure who's going to be able to stop Penrith. You got any ideas how we can stop them or what?
Parramatta did it a couple of times last year, but didn't do it in the main game. But yeah, no, they're a class outfit. They've got a lot of good young talent, and um, every time someone's out, someone steps up, and yeah, no,
That's
they're
right, mate. I think same as the Melbourne Storm. Like they've been a great team for a long period of time. You got to have a lot of respect. They're obviously doing something right. In their sort of their leadership and the way they're recruiting players and yeah, so yeah, full credit to them. But yeah, someone's got to stop them, Troy. Some this
that's
year.
it. That's it. Well, hopefully it's either Brisbane or Parramatta. So
Yeah,
um,
that should be a good season, mate. Really looking forward to it.
yeah, definitely. All right, time for some common league questions. Now, taking out your debut game and probably those games that we spoke about, is there one game that really stands out that you really enjoyed playing? You just thought, oh, that was a great game. I loved that one.
Oh, not one in particular, Troy. No, just
Yeah.
maybe Toowoomba Clydesdales had a year with them in 2001. We ended up winning the grand final up in Queensland against Redcliffe Dolphins. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a highlight. No, they're all a bit of a blur, mate. Just
Yeah.
all I know is I had a lot of fun. Really enjoyed the journey, I guess. Um, I had some good games in 2011 with the Eels that we yeah, I think there was one we played against Cronulla. Jeff Robson and myself on the halves. We won 40 odd something, and I suppose that was a nice sort of game. But
Yeah.
yeah, no real games in particular stand out, mate.
No, that's all right. Other than the home grounds that you had, did you have a favourite ground that you used to love playing at?
I love playing at Leichhardt. That was cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, yeah, those smaller grounds that yeah you had the hostile crowd on top of you. That was always fun. So um, no, where else would I say? Yeah, I like the smaller grounds, mate. The smaller suburban grounds to play at. Yep.
Ever remember a heckle from a fan?
Oh, plenty of heckles, mate. Yeah,
Yeah.
plenty of heckles. Yep.
What about a least favourite? Was there a ground that you hated playing at for whatever reason?
Not really. Not particular. No. No.
No?
Nothing.
Okay.
No. If I can think of no.
A lot of
Oh,
players.
actually, I'll backtrack on that. Canberra. I hated playing at Canberra.
I was
That
just
was
about to say, yeah.
yeah, bloody hell, that was cold, mate. I've played in England and I've never played anywhere so cold as Canberra on a winter's night. So yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say, a lot of players say Canberra for that very reason.
Yep.
Who was the hardest hitter? Who did you get tackled by that really knocked you out?
Oh, Ruben Wiki got me good.
Oh,
Ruben
yeah.
Wiki was a strong man. For me, I love defending next to Tony Carroll. He could
He
hit.
was a hard, yeah.
So I enjoy standing next to him and sort of the traffic seemed to go the other way for some reason, which was good. But yeah, no, there's plenty of hard hitters, mate. We got hit pretty hard throughout my career. So there was I guess not being one of the bigger players. I think I played around 85 kilos. So yeah, copped a few knocks.
What about on the flip side? Who would have been the hardest to tackle?
Hardest to tackle. Well, mate, I'm a little bit different. So the big fellas that ran straight at you weren't, obviously it was hard, but guys like Matt Bowen, Greg Inglis, he had the size and the speed. Yeah, they were hard to tackle. Yep.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, you played with and against some champion players during your career, but is there someone that you would have loved to have had in the teams that you played in, or even had the chance to play against?
Yeah, that's a good question, mate. I've never really thought of that. Yeah, no one in particular. I was very lucky to play. Like I said, had a couple of games there with Billy Slater and Cameron Smith. I had a wonderful Broncos side in the 2000s. So um, one of the main reasons I went to France actually was Stacey James was the
Okay,
halfback, and I got the
yeah,
opportunity to play 5'8" with him. So that was a thrill. Alan Langer, I mentioned earlier, playing alongside him was amazing. So I think I was very fortunate, mate. Got to play alongside some wonderful players.
What about in today's game? Is there a player that you'd love to play against or with in today's game?
Um, Yeah, I'm just trying to think. You stumped me there, mate. I just
No,
haven't thought of
that's
that
all
one.
right. No, that's all right. That's all right. Might come
I
back.
love watching the games now. Like I think it's getting faster and yeah, the skill levels out of this world. So it's always getting better and yeah, it's a great product, rugby league, and yeah, some great players to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of sledges, who did you find on your team was the biggest pest or sledger on the field?
Biggest pest, no, mate. We're pretty good. Yeah, I think I found the higher level you got, the sledging sort of, whether it was a respect thing, I don't know, but I never really came across much sledging
Okay.
in my career. Um, yeah, I found the sort of higher level you went, the less there was. Michael Ennis could always get under people under skin, I guess. Yeah, I just really can't think of many sledges to be honest. I think everyone played hard and yeah, like I said, it was just a mutual respect across teams and yeah, it's not like cricket, mate, where that's part of the game. I just think league it's a bit different. Yeah.
No, that's it. What about on the flip side? Who was a larrikin or prankster at the clubs that you played for, and what did
Fui
they get?
Fui was good. Fui was he
Foo?
was a
Okay.
larrikin. Um,
What did he get up to?
Fui, mate. He'd you open your locker and he'd have an ice bucket there just fall on top of your head and just little things like that, mate. He was just a big kid. Yeah. No, he was great. Um, who else? Gordon Tallis was a bit of a prankster, but you need those blokes that
Yeah,
keep things light when you're training hard and things are serious. And yeah, every team needs at least one or two of those guys can keep it light. Yeah.
yeah, no, definitely. Did Philly ever steal your thongs?
Um, mate,
That,
he was funny. He was a funny man. He'd hide behind the curtain. He'd act all shy in front of the
yeah,
crowd. But mate, yeah, he was a larrikin.
I don't know if he's still playing actually over in England. I
Yeah, I heard like it was a year or two ago he was still playing, but
yeah,
yeah, unbelievable. Yep.
amazing.
Funny man.
Yeah, no, definitely. Who would have been the most annoying teammate that you would have had to room with on away trips?
Mate, I was lucky. I didn't have anyone that annoyed me too much. Um, yeah, mate, I've got nothing for you there. I just got no real pests, I guess. I've heard it was just sort of starting out the Broncos when I was leaving, but I've heard Josh McGuire is a bit of a pest. But
Okay.
mate, I've got no one that really annoyed me. I was lucky.
Yeah, oh no, that's nice. All right, well, we'll wrap things up with the set of six segment that I call the personality questions, bit away from rugby league.
Yep.
What's your favourite sport outside of rugby league?
Favorite sport outside of rugby league. So my kids play soccer. So I watch a lot of soccer.
Yep.
Yes, I'll say soccer. Yep. And I
Yeah,
like cricket as well. I do like the cricket.
yeah. No, didn't have a good result over in India a couple of days ago, but hopefully they can step it up from there.
Definitely, mate. Definitely.
What's your specialty dish in the kitchen or on the barbecue?
Scotch fillet on the barbecue. Um, and we've started doing bacon and eggs here at work. So we've bacon and eggs on a Tuesday morning here at
Oh,
work.
okay.
So mate,
Yeah.
it's
Nice, nice. Who was the most famous person you'd love to meet and have a beer with and a chat? Who would you like to
Chris
meet?
Chris Christopherson,
Okay, yeah, country singer.
country singer. Yeah.
That'll probably uh, that'll probably be an answer for a question coming up. But if you're in the jungle, say like I'm a celebrity, get me out of here style, which three former teammates wouldn't you want to be stuck with?
That I wouldn't want to be stuck with.
Yeah, who wouldn't you
Ah.
want?
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I'll say Brent Tate,
Yeah,
Brad Myers, and that I wouldn't want to be stuck with. I know Dane Carlo wouldn't want to be stuck with me, mate. It's probably my worst story of all time. But we did an army camp in France, and I smuggled a chocolate bar. So we had no food. I smuggled a chocolate bar up Twix, and I remember pulling it out, and Dane said, "Oh, just go halves with me, mate." And I just the worst thing I've ever done, but I took the lot, and that's just
yeah.
haunted me forever. So Dane definitely wouldn't want me, mate. Yeah, so probably those two, mate. Brent
Yeah.
Tate and Brad Myers.
No worries. If you didn't go down the rugby league path, what profession do you think you might have taken up or wanted to do growing up?
Always wanted to be a cricketer. Just was never good enough, Troy. Yep.
Yeah.
Always loved cricket as a kid. Wanted to be a cricketer, but yeah, that would have been my
Well,
profession if I had been able to choose.
nice. Well, certainly a lot of money going around in cricket these days.
Mm.
Now, you probably already answered this one before, but who's your favourite band or solo artist to listen to?
Favorite band or solo artist? Well, I'll go the Highwaymen, mate. I got to see them when I was in 1992. Chris Christopherson, obviously, Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson. So that'll be my band, mate.
Nice. What's your favourite Highwayman song?
Highwaymen song. I'll go the Highwaymen. Their title
Yeah.
song, mate.
Okay. That's fair enough. Nice. Well, Casey McGuire, thank you very much for your time and your chat today. I really appreciate it. I'm sure the fans will love it too. It's always good to hear stories from a player that played at the club that I love in the Parramatta Eels, but also one that I watched play his career. I hope to catch up one day and say good day and have a beer together. And thank you very much for coming on
Thank
the
you.
Parramatta podcast today.
Cheers, Troy. Thank you very much for having me, mate. And go the Eels this year, eh? Good on you, mate.
Hopefully.